Hi everyone, thank you for tuning into our DIY draft proofing video series. My name's Arki, and in this video we're going to be looking at how to draft proof around a door frame. The tools you'll need for this exercise include a pair of scissors, some general purpose cleaning product and some cloths or rags, a stepladder depending on how high your door frame is, and some efficiency matrix door seal. Now, the gaps around door frames are often quite uneven, and sometimes this can mean that the products you find at your local hardware store aren't that effective. The reason we go with an efficiency matrix door seal is that it's effective over a wide range of gaps. It generally doesn't affect the opening and closing mechanism of the door because of the way it sits around the frame, and it's flexible enough to be used on uneven gaps around the frame that other products sometimes struggle with. The first step to draft proofing around a door frame is to clean the frame. We're just going to be using some household vinegar, but any general purpose cleaner should do the trick. We'll start around the top and work our way around. You want to make sure that you're very thorough cleaning around the door frame, because this will allow the adhesive strip on the door seal to adhere properly to the frame. All right, if your rag is as dirty as mine, you're probably on the right track. Now we're just going to run over it with a dry cloth to make sure the surface is nice and dry and ready to be used. Once the frame of the door is clean and dry, we're ready to install our draft proofing seal. We're going to start with a strip along the top, and then we're going to run a strip down either side. When we install the door seal, we'll want it to sit against the frame like this, with the adhesive strip sticking to the outside of the frame. What we don't want is to install it around this way, because when the door closes, the seal isn't going to exert any pressure against the door. You're not going to get a nice seal, it's just going to be sitting open and it's not going to work. So what we do want is for the seal to sit like this. That way when the door closes, it's going to sit against the plastic fold and it's going to form a nice seal along the length of the frame. A handy way to remember the correct way to install the draft proofing seal is that if you imagine when it's folded over, it forms an arrow. We want that arrow to point in the same direction that the door opens. So if your door opens inwards like this one, then you'll want your draft proofing seal to sit like this, pointing inside. Now we're going to install a strip of draft proofing seal along the top of the door frame. We're going to take our draft proofing seal and we're just going to measure it out by hand, cut it to size, and then install it. So we'll just measure it out to the size that we want. Cut off the length that we need. And remember to install it correctly with it pointing inside if we imagine it's an arrow once it's folded over, the same way that the door opens. Make sure that the length is correct before you stick it on. Pull back a length of the adhesive backing and start to install it. Just going from one edge to another, pulling back the backing as you go. Beautiful, and then we want to really rub it to make sure that the adhesive has stuck on nicely. And once we've done that, we can fold the seal over. Now once it's installed, we'll jump down and we'll check that the door can still open and close correctly and that we're forming a good seal before we install any more strips of draft proofing seal. And we'll just shut the door to make sure that it's still closing properly, which it is, and it's forming a nice seal at the top. Now we're ready to install our draft proofing seal along the sides of the door frame. And I've just left a little bit extra at the bottom, which we can cut to size. Note that we haven't run the door seal all the way to the top of the door frame, but we've stopped just shy of the seal that we've already installed along the top. Now that we've finished draft proofing around the edge of our door frame, we can test the effectiveness of our seals by using the procedure outlined in the introduction video to this series. If you'd like to know how to draft proof along the bottom of your door, check out one of our other videos where we cover how to do that. Thank you for watching and good luck draft proofing your own home. See you next time.